Hello, I'm Al Rudolph.
And I'm Ariel Clapp.
This is the Jackson County Staff Directory, or StaffNet.
Uh, our client is Jackson County, which was founded in 1852. The county has nearly 1,000 active employees, 17 departments, and up to 8 divisions per department. For example, the sheriff department has divisions like patrol, correction, investigations. The county runs on an internal system, an intranet, and they have developed multiple apps that run on this intranet. What they did not have was a single user-friendly system to find other employees or information about them.
Currently, employee data is scattered around many places, such as Outlook's address book, the county's payroll system, Cupid, which is a county-developed system. The best option at the moment is Outlook's address book, which is not intuitive, does not offer any searching or sorting functions, contains outside contacts like vendors or former employees, and offers no way for employees to edit their own information. Imagine that you're Susie from Health and Human Services and you'd like to call John in the county clerk's office. You can try and look him up in Outlook, but you aren't sure of his last name, his title, and there's no search feature in Outlook. The payroll service wouldn't help either, so what do you do? New employees sometimes are hired. They might need to know other people's names and positions. Restructuring happens. People are moved between teams and departments. People don't always know who or where they are. So yeah, the county wanted one location where employees could view information about every other current employee, and they also wanted a way for employees to be able to edit their own About Me bio paragraphs and possibly upload profile photographs.
So with that in mind, here's some of the major features we added to our app. See, the first one is viewing the employee list. This shows employee names and contact info in a table with columns and rows. This information is sortable by any attribute. It is searchable by specified attributes like first name, last name, title, and supervisor. Results can be filtered to only show specific departments or divisions. Search results can be exported to an Excel spreadsheet or .csv file. Each record links to an expanded profile page, which includes the employee's contact info as well as information about their supervisor. On a separate page, employees can view and edit their own profile. The app automatically knows which employee is logged in by fetching the currently logged in county username and finding the record with a matching county email. Employees are able to add a profile picture and a short About Me paragraph as requested by the client.
Here you would see our demo walkthrough of our application. We have recorded a separate video that will be located in the same file you found this video in. If you would like to watch that, feel free.
Oh.
As we mentioned possibly previously, the county is a Microsoft house. So we use a lot of Windows environments and Windows applications for coding and deployment. We used Microsoft SQL Server 2019 to manage our mock employee database. We used C# as the primary programming language for this app. And it is also, C# is also used by the Blazor framework, which is used for creating web-based applications. Blazor was used to create the outline and user interface elements. We used Dapper, which we'll go into in more detail in a later slide, but briefly, it is a lightweight and efficient object relational mapping framework for C#, and it allows developers to easily map their C# objects to database tables without the need for writing many repetitive SQL queries. It works by providing a set of extension methods that can be used to execute database queries and then map their results to C# objects. It's got a simple and intuitive syntax, which made it very easy for us to work with. For the primary coding environment, myself, I used Visual Studio. Ariel used VS Code. They're essentially the same. We use these to create the projects and add in Blazor code scaffolding, and then we used it as our integrated development environment for coding and testing. We used GitHub for version control and issue tracking, as well as for hosting our project board. Each feature we aimed for was turned into a GitHub issue, which we then individually claimed and tracked on our own branches and merged into the main branch once that feature was functionally complete and had been tested.
So this diagram shows how data flows in our application. For development, we stored about 50 test data records in a local SQL Server database. So when our app needs to access employee data, it has to use a tool called a micro ORM, or micro object relational mapping tool. In our project, we use Dapper, which is known for being super fast and lightweight. So I have this example here where we need to fetch the employee test guy. To start, Dapper needs two things as input: a SQL query and the type of object it is going to map to. Here we have an employee object with the fields Cupid, first name, last name, and division ID, and a simple query for demonstration's sake. So the app sends these to Dapper. Dapper then queries the SQL Server database and gets some results like these. It takes the results of the query and matches each column name to each object field. Whatever value is in each column is mapped to the matching field name. For example, first name equals test, so here in the employee object, first name will equal test. Now we have data attached to code that we can actually use, in this case, an employee object, which becomes the test guy record. This happens for every employee and populates the main list.
Pictured here, you can see our test traceability matrix. We made some efforts to ensure data security through SQL injection protection. We parameterized our queries, and we have sanitized user inputs to prevent any escape characters and unwanted data manipulation. One thing we noticed when testing, when the client rolled out the application on their systems, we found that despite our app running very fast locally on our own machines, it ran quite a bit slower when deployed on the county's hardware. This was partly because of a different database environment, including around 10,000 extra employee entries, both past and present, which needed to be filtered for current employees. This was obviously slower than we had planned. Our code was also not quite optimized correctly, which we only found out after deploying it in the real environment. And this shows the importance of testing in a realistic environment.
This term, we used agile methodology to tackle our project. We used GitHub's project board, shown here, to plan out each of our week-long sprints, and used a first-come, first-served method to pick our features. Each major feature got its own branch, all of which are still active in the repository, so the client can view our change history. Once the feature was complete, we would have the other person review it and merge it into the main branch.
A more granular breakdown. Myself, Al, took on the task of generating the test data that we used for the employees. We started out with 50. Eventually, we moved up to around 1,500 near the very end. I took care of the Windows user authentication for tracking the profile editing privileges, the profile component, and the download feature, which downloads the results of any searches as an Excel or CSV file.
I set up the initial database, Dapper, and established an object-oriented file structure from the beginning. Wrote the initial main list query, which included basic sort, search, and filter operations, which Al later modified to be more secure and safe against SQL injection. I implemented the upload photo and edit profile pictures. Editing text was easy, but getting the photo uploads working properly took a few weeks, as those are known pains, file uploads and downloads in web development. Towards the end of the term, I added a reusable pop-up component, which ended up solving one of the major problems we were running into, which was how to keep the search terms from going back to empty every time the user clicks on an employee profile. Previously, that opened a different page, and now opening a pop-up doesn't cause a full page reload, so that is very nice.
So, in conclusion, employees of the county now have a single location for finding other employees' contact information. They can search and filter employees, which is now a lot easier and more intuitive. Employees now have a way of editing their About Me bio section, as well as uploading a picture of themselves into their profile. And employees have the option of downloading any search results to their hard drives.
So here you can see the mockup that the client provided us and a screenshot of our final app. We focused on functionality first and built the basics of the application before we considered how to make it look good. We were really trying to avoid the CSS rabbit hole. Setting the groundwork down early let us pick and choose features that we found interesting or fun and left us some time to refine the user interface and squash bugs. And here's our final release page, detailing all our major features and some of the additional changes we added this term. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Yay.